Hello again, I'm Max Brantley, back from vacation and back to Arkansas and slouching toward oblivion with the Arkansas legislature on Thursday, March the 5th. The news today is still all about what's going to be done about legislation that was originally aimed to be pointedly addressed at enabling discrimination against gay people. Created a national firestorm along with the state of Indiana. They've hurried a new bill out of the Senate last night and through a House committee this morning that would radically change the original form of this bill in separate legislation. Instead of a bill that has some broad-ranging ways to object to doing things for gay people, the bill now would simply mirror the Federal Restoration of Freedom of Religion Act. But it would still provide an avenue for people to raise religion as a pretext to against actions that might benefit gay people. A county clerk, for example, should gay marriage be legalized, be able to say it's against my religion to do this sort of thing. But the bill is an improvement. It came because Governor Hutchinson decided at the last minute under great corporate pressure not to go along with the first bill. It looks like it will pass the House this afternoon. It does not contain any language that directly addresses the question of discrimination. The Indiana, which is going through the same travails right now, is going to pass a law that does specifically prohibit discrimination against gay people and people of transgender orientation. That's a significant difference. It's not being done in Arkansas. It's a real lack to the Arkansas law. So there has been this achievement, I think, in the debate. Voices were heard. Public attitudes are changing. It's becoming less and less acceptable in polite circles to be outwardly bigoted against gay people, much as the civil rights movement in the 60s didn't necessarily change hearts and minds about race. It at least took it behind closed doors, and I guess that's progress of a sort. Speaking of sexuality issues, the Arkansas Supreme Court today issued a brief and confusing short order that boiled down to this: yet another delay in when it's going to decide the same-sex marriage case pending before it. The court seems to be clearly attempting to run out the string on this in hopes that the U.S. Supreme Court will rule on this case before they have to do so. It's a delay of justice, and justice is again denied by the Arkansas Supreme Court. Other news at the Capitol: we've authorized a Ten Commandments monument at the state Capitol. This is certainly to be challenged in a lawsuit. The legislature will put 3 constitutional amendments on the ballot. One of them is a giant corporate welfare scam. It will lift the state's bond limit and allow unlimited issuance of bonds to give away money to private industries to build companies here. Doug House and Nate Bell, 2 Republican legislators, spoke strongly against the evils of corporate welfare. Governor Asa Hutchinson wanted this amendment to go on the ballot, so it will go on the ballot. There were strong questions from John Walker, too, about how Louisiana has paid $4 for every dollar in benefits it's gotten from a huge tax giveaway to movie industry people in that state. There's no demonstrated record that these giveaways are a net benefit to the states that give them. Deborah Ferguson offered the standard excuse, which is everybody else does it, so we have to do it as well. A lot of other people rob banks, and we don't all rob banks, but that's for another day. More funny business in the legislature gets lost in the shuffle on these bigger issues. A little bill is slipping through the legislature that likely will reinstitute the Tiny Wiener School District closed because it fell below enrollment levels. They passed a bill that's going to allow the establishment of a pilot program, agriculture, elementary school, and high school. Guess what school district might qualify to secede from the Harrisburg School District and start itself up again as Agricultural School District? The heavy lobbying of Bruce Hawkins, a former legislator, got a bill passed through the House today that will forgive asbestos liability to a company that doesn't even operate in Arkansas, Crown Cork and Seal, but it doesn't want to pay damages to people who live in Arkansas who have mesothelioma, a disease you get from being exposed to asbestos. About a third of the sufferers are military people who worked around boilers covered with the dangerous substance. State tax money is dropping in the last month. That's not good news for those who think a growth in revenues will pay for the big income tax cuts that Asa Hutchinson has provided. Those tax cuts included a giant capital gains cut for some of the richest people in Arkansas. Guess who's paying for that? The state libraries are. We've learned, and I've reported on the blog today, that $1 million is being cut out of state support for local libraries. This will be damaging from everybody from Newton County to Little Rock. They'll have to cut hours, cut purchases, cut staff. It's a shame. Community health centers are also having to suffer because of the need to give wealthy people a tax cut. Other headlines: Dan Farrader, former chancellor at the University of Arkansas, is going to be chancellor on an interim basis while University System President Donald Bobbitt looks for a successor to the current chancellor, David Gerhardt, who's going to retire at the end of July. A couple of Arkansas politicians made headlines in a very bad way today. Mike Huckabee is going viral on the web again. Again, he's made a remark about gay people. He says the gay rights movement is about driving Christians out of America and closing all our churches. Of course, there are no Christians who are gay or who love gay people, who are relatives of gay people, who are friends of gay people. Nobody could go to church who could feel that way, that you should treat your fellow man equally and love them just as if you love anyone else. No, that would be unchristian. And Tom Cotton on TV asked about the furor over sexual rights in Arkansas and the RFRA debate, said that, well, people really needed to get some perspective. He tried to change the subject to his favorite topic, Iran, but in the course of it really stuck his foot in his mouth. He said, you know, people need perspective. Gay people need perspective on this issue. At least they don't live in Iran where you can be hanged for the crime of being gay. The criticism has been huge for him comparing being gay to a crime, even in Iran. Pretty low bar if being better than Iran is how you describe American exceptionalism. State police seized $10 million worth of methamphetamines in a tractor trailer on Interstate 40. And finally, here's a word of warning for you. UMS doctors have concluded a man who had kidney failure likely suffered kidney failure because he drank too much iced tea, a gallon or so a day. So there's a dangerous substance in tea, if you drink way too much of it, of course. The message is moderation in all things is good. And I'd like to be moderate about the Arkansas legislature, but it's hard. I wish I was back in the Caribbean. I'm Max Brantley, and I'll be back tomorrow.